Welcome into the Buffalo Stampede. Week number 2 of the season in Colorado was impressive once again. Buffs are 2-0 for the first time since 2013 as they dominate the Bengals of Idaho State 56-7. You're on a great day at Folsom Field. Gary Barnett, Mark Johnson. Coach, I think we were talking in the pregame on the radio about taking care of business, and boy, but did Mike McIntyre's team do that.
They really did, and it's after a game like they played against Colorado State, it would be easy for this team to think they had arrived and to think that all they had to do was throw their uniforms out on the field and they'd win this game. And those of us who've been around this game long enough to know that just doesn't happen, and that's when you make big mistakes. And so between the seniors and the leadership on this football team and the coaching staff, they would not let that happen. And when you got everybody working together in that direction, and everybody understanding what it takes, the kind of effort and the kind of respect you have to give your opponent, and therefore prepare for them that way. When that's happening for you, then you got a chance to be good.
And that says something about kind of the maturity of a team, doesn't it? When they just go out and do exactly what you've got their attention, I guess, as a head coach, wouldn't you?
They're listening to you when that happens, and so many teams. Only so many guys are willing to listen. So many guys are really willing to pay the price. It's always that way. That's why you always have, 100 teams that play every weekend, and half of them lose because, some of them are listening, some of them aren't. And it's got to be the right culture. It's got to be the right personalities, the right leadership. It's got to be in the right place. I always call it a 90-10. If your team, 90% of your team is chasing their goals and their dreams, and they're only spending 10% of their time on internal issues, then you got a chance to be a really good football team. This team, after 2 games, appears to be at least heading in that direction.
Well, it was a complete game once again. The Buffaloes on offense, and again, Cephalou found many of the starters didn't even make halftime. Okay, it was 49-0 at the half. They had almost 600 yards of offense, probably could have had 800, and the defense doesn't surrender 100 yards. Are you more impressed with what you've seen offensively or defensively from the Buffaloes at this point?
Well, I've got to say every aspect of these 2 games, all 3 areas, special teams, offense, and defense, have been impressive to me. I know we have to take in consideration who they're playing, but it's still hard to do that. It's hard to play at a high level in 2 complete games the way they have here, and you've got to give credit where credit's due, and it's a combination of the coaches and the seniors. So complete games. I've been impressed with both sides. Today, the offense was just on fire. Defensively, they continued to do what they were doing the week before. So everybody's hitting right now on all the cylinders.
A lot of guys got to play in this. We saw 3 quarterbacks. Steven Montez played a good chunk. Jordan Gerke came in. You saw down to the 4-string running back, backup linebackers. When you get a lot of guys playing like that in a game like this, they probably got a pep in their step this upcoming week. There's great value in that from a coaching standpoint, is there not?
Well, there's no question. Everybody thinks they're going to play the next time. They all practice harder on Monday, but Mark, this is what the really good teams have happened to them. Michigan, for example. Michigan has played their second and third teams for the last 2 games. That's what your better teams get the advantage of being able to do. They keep their guys healthy. They bring along the younger kids, so they got depth. And Colorado has taken 2 steps in that direction.
You said something late in the play-by-play portion of our radio broadcast. You said, okay, 2 games in the books. We've seen dominating, top-to-bottom performances. At this point, you got to say Colorado's a good football team, right?
Well, you got to say they got a chance to be a good football team, I think. And you've got to at least – I can't emphasize enough how hard it is to do 2 games in a row, to have that kind of focus, total domination in 2 football games. That doesn't happen to a lot of teams. It's happened to this team. So you got to put them in the upper echelon anyway, the upper half of teams of teams that are good or may have a chance to be pretty good.
So next week the Buffaloes go to the Big House, Ann Arbor, Michigan, a top 5 team against the Michigan Wolverines. We know if you're a Colorado fan, you're watching this, you know what the history is there with the Miracle of Michigan. This is a different deal now. And out here in the real world, the hype is going to be off the charts. If you're Mike McIntyre, then how do you handle that internally at the Champion Center?
Well, I think you go back and you take care of Colorado. Colorado takes care of Colorado. This team they're going to play, Mark, and we're going to talk about it, I know, this week a lot. This is a better team than what Colorado beat in 1994, I'm telling you. So, I've won a couple games in there, and this team's probably better than those teams. I mean,
they're loaded.
They're loaded. And, Greasy Brian Greasy shook off a sack through a touchdown pass the year they went to the national championship. So this is a really good football team. They're well coached. They got the hype going for them. So Colorado at this point has got to take care of Colorado. They're on a business trip. It's just going to be them, small group that sits in a corner, and it's got to be their internal strength and their energy to prepare, and I mean totally prepare, because you want to go in there and give it every shot that you have. So the energy to prepare, the relentless spirit that you have to prepare this week becomes really important.
After 2 weeks, the Buffaloes are 2-0, 56-7 win over Idaho State. That game at the Big House next week, that's a 1:30 Mountain Time game. We'll hit the air, Gary and I. Cordell Stewart's going to join us for that broadcast across the state of Colorado on the Colorado Football Network at 11:30 with the Buffalo Stampede.